season. I've not signed a contract beyond the World Cup with anybody, so it's a story that I think is being put out there to try and disrupt ahead of this game or next week's game against England.
So how frustrating, how angry are you about that?
Not at all. It's just something that comes out, things like this. I think ahead of the England game in particular, but yeah, there's no truth in that. I've signed a contract beyond the World Cup, and my focus is on the Scotland team right now, and hopefully up until the World Cup.
Just a final one on that. Are there any concerns at all that it does have a kind of negative effect?
No,
disruptive effect?
Not at all.
Just on your team then, Jamie Doby in, Darcy Graham on the replacements bench. How big a call was that for you?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of thought goes into the team selection over the last few weeks. We've been really delighted with the form of the players in that 23 throughout December in those big games in Europe, 1872 Cup games especially for our players that play in Scotland. And then the last 2 weeks, and it became tougher as players came into form the last 2 weeks. But yeah, we feel it's a team that can show the best of what we want to be out in Rome on Saturday.
And Blair Kinghorn doesn't make the 15. What's the thinking behind that? And was that quite a difficult decision and conversation to have with him? Yeah,
like all of these decisions, in particular with players that have played the last few years, Blair, Duhan and Darcy. They've had some terrific games for us, and they're very proud of playing for Scotland. But there's competition in that back three area like there is in other positions, and we feel Jamie, Kyle and Tom deserve their starts given how well they've been playing.
Just a final one from me. In terms of where you feel that this starting team is, I mean, you look at the experience that the guys have had from the British Lions, you look at your kind of, at the minute, touch wood, injury free. How strong a position do you think you're in ahead of this campaign?
Yeah, we focus on ourselves and what we've done in training, what our players have been doing leading up to now. There's a lot of cohesion throughout the team from their club connections, but also in terms of how many games they've played together for Scotland. But it's all about what happens at the kick-off and to the final whistle. And we've had now 2 good weeks of preparation, but it's about Saturday, and we have full confidence that our players can deliver.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Gregor, Blair, Darcy and Duhan have been pretty much your go-to men in the back three, and obviously very bold to sort of change all 3 of them at once. I know Duhan was dropped for the autumn test, but very bold call to change the whole unit. Is that something that you're quite excited about in terms of the new guys coming in?
Yeah, they get the opportunity, and look, selection is about just giving players opportunities, and they've earned it. I feel all 3 of them individually have taken games to the opposition. They've worked really hard. Areas that are really important in the game now, and at a test level, we feel they've done very well. But the 3 players that weren't selected, like, they're quality players, and their reactions over the last couple of weeks, knowing that this competition is in place and how they've trained, that's going to be positive for the future. If or when they get back into the squad, or they get an opportunity off the bench like Darcy will on Saturday, we know we're going to have hungry players desperate to get back in the starting team. But for now, we're really pleased with that back three, how they've been playing, but also how they've been combining at training.
In terms of Italy, how much does what happened 2 years ago kind of sharpen the minds, focus the minds, that there's no complacency going there?
Yeah, it does sharpen the minds, because we know what Italy can do when they have that crowd energy behind them. They're 2 years further on in their development too, and they are a cohesive team. A lot of that back line have played together. They've got some quality forwards. They beat Australia in November, so it's one of the toughest teams now to play in World Rugby in the Six Nations, to play them first game up with the passion and an atmosphere that's going to be in Rome, and it's a sellout, I believe, as well. So yeah, they'll be targeting this game, and we know we're going to have to play very well to win.
Just going back to the back three, how much are the changes to do with the guys coming in being in form and the guys that aren't involved not being in form?
I'd say it's more the players that are in form. I think you guys obviously saw how well Kyle and Jamie played through that stretch of games for Glasgow. Tom's played really well this season, started at fullback for Bristol, then has moved into 10, but he's played a lot like a fullback in those games for Bristol. But I feel, if you think back to the weekend, Duhan played really well over in Leinster, played really well the week before. Darcy's been excellent the last few weeks, and they've trained well. And Blair's had a lot of rugby this year. Had, I think, 1 week of training going straight into the season with Toulouse. He's played 10 3 or 4 times, played 15 at the weekend, played in the wing, and he showed his quality. But right now we feel that Tom is playing the better rugby, and he deserves a chance to start.
Touched on it before, how big a boost is it that you haven't got any key players missing in terms of injuries?
Yeah, it is really, it's a real positive. Of course, we had a couple of injury niggles last week, Jamie Dobie and Jack Dempsey, but they've trained fully this week. So yeah, that's great for them, great for us too. And if you're asking me, and we go to our last game, we've got the same situation, that'll be a huge bonus. But no, it's fantastic that we are able to see players be able to be selected, and it's done on form, not having to change a team because there's injury concerns.
How important is it to start the tournament with a win? Could this set the tone for the rest of the tournament?
Absolutely, yeah. It's our most important game, and when you look at the context of the Six Nations, it's a lot about momentum. Like, obviously, if you're winning games, you get more chance of finishing near the top at the end of the tournament, but you build your momentum through your performances. And this year, with 3 games in a row, it's going to be massive. That you'll roll on to next week pretty quickly, so getting a performance, getting a win is going to really help how you're going to play the rest of the tournament.
How competitive do you think this year's championship will be?
I think hugely. I think media will tend to always focus on maybe the favourites or second favourites, but Italy now are, and I've shown that they've won so many games over the last few years in and out of the Six Nations. They're going to be even tougher. All the teams are going to have home advantage at some point. They've learned on what worked and what didn't work in November. So sometimes in November results are not replicated in the tournament because teams prepare well, but we know each of our 5 games is going to be very tough, and I think it'll be great viewing for the supporters.
And on the training, Ben White told us yesterday that the training is the best he's experienced at international level. What have you brought in to try and get the best from this group?
Well, I suppose there's a lot of them driving it. We have had 5 training sessions now, and it has been at a high level. I'm really pleased with how the players have came in, very connected in meetings on the training field, and they've backed it up. Sometimes when I've been involved with teams, club and international level, you have a really good session and the next day drops off a little bit, but over the last couple of weeks they've backed up their training sessions, and they've driven them to make sure we're in the best position going into this game in terms of our preparation.
And a question from Jamie, who's just out in Rome at the moment. He's just landed. He says it's due to be quite heavy rain in Rome, he thinks. What impact, if any, will this have on the game?
See, now the weather guy.
Yeah, he's now the weather guy.
We've been looking at the forecast for a few days now. I looked last night, it was meant to be thunderstorms on Saturday at kick-off time, and let's hope the thunderstorms don't transfer into heavy rain. It would be unusual to play in Rome in heavy rain, but I do remember a game last year, Wales and Italy, or it was maybe the year before, heavy rain, and it would change the game. Of course it would. It would mean more kicking, set piece would be more of a focus, your defence comes into the game more, and we've got to be able to adapt to that. So it's a game that works for us against the opposition, and in terms of the conditions that is going to see us winning.
Just one last one then from Raman. Both Ben and Lee Radford yesterday, they both talked at length about how honest this group are with each other. Is that something you've implemented on purpose, and what do you hope to achieve from that openness between coaches and players?
I think it's just the evolution of the group, and moments that you're faced with that have to, you've got a choice to be honest, to get through those moments and learn from them, or you can sweep it under the carpet. And one of those moments arrived in the autumn with how we played in that last 20 minutes against Argentina. We felt we let down our supporters. We didn't handle that period well at all. And the meetings after that were honest, and they've continued to be at that level. So the pain we felt that day it's getting reflected in how we're training and connecting, and it's got to be reflected now in the next 5 games.